Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I am Kevin, that is Taylor, and we're going over this tiny 3-game slate for NBA DFS main slate over at DraftKings, hopefully to help you win. Certainly handed out some good plays yesterday, so hopefully it helped you out. If you need extra advice, just hit up our Discord. It's 100% free. You can come join the community there, share your lineups, ask questions, all that fun stuff. If you want some premium plays, before lock, we do core plays for NBA. You can check that out at dfsbuild.com. Just $5.99 a month to get access to those plays, as well as all the NFL content we do. And we also hand out core plays for MMA. Taylor's been doing NHL DFS picks. And of course, we do MLB when it's in season as well. So, all right, let's get to it. We go game by game, team by team for this breakdown, highlighting our favorite plays and trying to look over the entire slate, adding a little bit of nuance. If you have any questions while this is live, you can drop them here and we will answer them on the air, so to speak. Otherwise, if you're catching this later in the day, you can just join Discord and take advantage of that. If we do anything that's helpful here, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Both of those things help us out quite a bit. All right, let's get to it. First up, the Raptors are in Cleveland. They are an 8-point dog on the road. This is a really nice total. So if it does stay close, this game is plenty stackable. Let's organize the fancy points here. So Scotty Barnes is the top play for the Raptors in terms of pure upside, ceiling, and overall projection. He has 8.5K though, and he's also at a position where there's a lot of guys to like on this slate. So he is a fair play. I don't have a problem with him. I think for tourneys, that is where you'd be going here. Not a cash game play for me. Although he inherently is kind of a cash game play in general, just not maybe relative to this slate. Elsewhere, Quickly's price came up. Ingram's price came up. Barrett's there. It's like when they're at full strength, I'm not super into the Raptors. I think the real angle here would be maybe getting a little bit overexposed to Pearl because he's 5.5K, getting his minutes back a little bit. They're going to need his size, and they have two big men that are injured. So that's where I'm at on this slate. Like Barnes is fine, and I think Pirtle's an okay value, but for the most part, I'm out on Toronto. How about you?
I think on a bigger slate, I would be less interested, but on a 3-game slate, I think you kind of have to play them. If you're multi-entering at least, like we're going to get some Cleveland on the other side with the injuries they have. And it is, like I said, a 3-game slate. It's got a decent total. Cleveland played last night, at least some of the Cavs did. So I like it a little bit. I would probably ordinarily set like a max 1 or a max 2 of the main 4 guys, but I think on this slate, that you don't have to be as strict with rules and stuff just because you have less options overall. So I do like it. I think Quickly is the best play here again, 6,900. So his price has come up, but he's also kind of rounded into form. No Garland, no Strus, no Lonzo. So some of their better like guard wing defenders are out. So I like Quickly a little bit. I like Barrett similarly. 7,100 I think is okay for him. Like you can make a case for all 5 of the starters. Like you said, Pirtle got up to 30 minutes in the last game, which is interesting with Sandro out in the last game. Colin Murray-Boyles got hurt, apparently. So both of those guys are questionable. I think there's a chance Pirtle can beat the projected minutes, especially with Cleveland having the 2 big lineup.
Yep.
It's not an easy spot. Like those are 2 good defenders they have, 2 good rebounders and all that. But Pirtle is cheap, historically a good per minute player. So I like all the starters. I think you can make a case for Sandro as a cheap, low-owned pivot if he's in, or Murray-Boyles if Sandro is out and Murray-Boyles is in, but not super inclined to get to the bench really ever with Toronto, especially in a game that should be hopefully competitive.
Yeah, I think the problem with me with the Raptors is like they tend to eat into each other. Although lately they kind of all have just been getting there. Like they just wreck. They're actually like not a bad team anymore. So I'm with you on Quickly as far as value when you look at the price. But if I was going to like he's kind of owned, so I'm not that excited to continue to eat chalk on this slate. Like I'm already eating a good amount of chalk. Got to find a way to get different. If I was going to force a Raptor, it would be Pirtle for value that isn't going to be owned, or it'd be Barnes up top just because we know he has a massive like 60-point fantasy ceiling. If the game stays close, Barnes could absolutely break the slate. All right, so on the other side, Spida is back. He looks really interesting in tournaments. I'm big on Donovan Mitchell. If he's not going to be very owned, sub 20% ownership, He's like right up there with the top projecting plays of the slate, right up there in terms of price too. So you can pivot off of those guys, or you can leverage what is going to be a fairly chalky Evan Mobley. Mobley is a great play on his own. Like if you just want to look at cash game or just look at vacuum plays, like who's the better play? It is Mobley because he's $1,000 cheaper. And he has like the same projection. Only issue is ownership. So like a 3-game slate, we got to do something to get different and not really lose our upside. And I think fading Evan, or at least going underweight if you're doing a lot of lineups, and then going overweight on Spida is a really good way to do that. Jarrett Allen, just a fair play at 6.4K with those guys back. Like he's just not a high usage guy. He did smash yesterday with them out, but with them back, I'm not as excited to play into ownership there. I'm out on DeAndre Hunter at 6.7 with those guys back. We can definitely go back to Craig Porter Jr. again. You were all about him yesterday, and I just was like, I don't think we need to take that dive at 3.2. And he gets like fucking 50 fantasy points. Dude, when I looked, it was like middle of the second quarter and he had 30 fantasy points. I was like, what the hell? I'm not cashing. But then I saw he's only 6% owned. So I don't think that's going to be the case tonight. I would imagine the field will adapt and be like, oh, cool. CPJ is, super cheap and I want to go do some stuff on the slate. So, I mean, I would imagine they would because there's still no Garland. Lonzo's out. Like, who's the other guy? Tyson is out. So, like, there's like 3 perimeter players gone, and he's only 3.3. So I'm really into Craig Porter Jr., especially if nobody else wants to be for some reason. And if you want to go back to the Sam Merrill at 5K, given those guys being out, I think that's okay as well.
Yeah, I think Porter is obviously a riskier play today than he was yesterday, just with Mitchell back. But like you said, Garland's still out. Lonzo will miss tonight, so that's one more guard that was not out last night missing. So it's the same amount of guards they have, I think,
right?
That they had last night. So,
well, there's Tyrese Proctor.
Yeah, I think Proctor is a pretty interesting pivot off of Craig Porter. If Craig Porter's like 50% owned, which he probably should be. I think he's an awesome play. He's 3.3. Like I said yesterday, you don't need him to get 80 for him to be worth it. And then he almost did. But yeah, like I don't love that he's point guard only. There are a lot of decent point guards on the slate, but there's also no one really in that range. Maybe Nick Richards, who's remotely as appealing. So I'm into Craig Porter. I think the field is going to be there, but I think it's decent chalk. Mitchell and Mobley, I think, are okay. Like you said, there's a pretty big price discrepancy between them. We've seen a higher ceiling from Mitchell all season, though.
Yeah.
So I'd be inclined to lean that way over Mobley. I think Hunter's a really good play again at 6.7. Not going to be nearly as popular as he was yesterday. Pretty good spot. No Tyson, so they're still short on the wing. No Max Strus. He's just been solid overall. So on a short slate, on a big slate, I wouldn't be super psyched about DeAndre Hunter at 6.7. And I'm not super psyched about it on a 3-gamer, but I do think he's very playable.
I think he's playable, but like those game logs, I'm not game log watching. That's who he is. You're going to get maybe 35 fantasy points, probably about that. I think it's fine, but like
it's small forward. Like you're not really going to like a lot at small forward on this slate.
Yeah.
So otherwise, you're looking at like Royce O'Neal and Ace Bailey and Dean Wade and Grayson Allen, like. Ingram, I guess. It's just the nature of the position.
1, 2, 3 is siding with me here.
I mean, 35 on this slate might be enough.
No, I know.
It's not going to be a slate where
the
winning scores are 400 points. So I think Hunter, like on the slate, in the slate context, is a perfectly fine play.
Right. Like this is an offense that is capable of feeding, Garland, Mobley, and Mitchell all at once. So with Garland out, somebody else is probably going to eat. So like he is a fine play, and 6.7 isn't egregious. I just don't feel as comfortable paying that for what probably isn't a very high ceiling with Mobley and Mitchell back. So yeah, the other thing is, the Craig Porter thing. If because like when I ran the lineups, the optimal did not have Craig Porter in. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, well, if that's going to be the case, I'll just force Craig Porter in, and I guess I'll get different immediately by doing that. So it's going to be interesting to see where everything lines up because, like you said, he's only point guard eligible. So if for some reason people are just not going to like that build and he is going to be like even under 30% owned, like I think that's a nice leverage point for sure and saves you a ton of cash. All right, so Atlanta and Utah, this game looks a lot better because it's a 3-point spread. Both these teams do not want to play defense, and this is going to be up-tempo game. Probably a lot of points, but of course they're also both kind of not really reliable. So this could be one of those fun spots where somebody wins by 40 just because neither team is great. That said, Jalen Johnson looks awesome. That looks like good chalk to me. That's chalk I'd rather eat compared to Evan Mobley. And if you just want to look at a pure price play, like I feel like he's one of the best spends on the board. So I'll be playing him for sure. Really good spot for him. Good roll with no Trey. Dyson Daniels looks great at 7-3. Don't have a problem with that. Thing is, I just don't want to play like every Hawk. So Onyeka Okongwu with no Porzingis, that's a lock for me. Like I'm going to play Okongwu at 6-2. So if I'm playing Okongwu and I'm playing Jalen, or if I'm playing Okongwu and I'm playing Dyson, I'm probably going to fade somebody in that trio because the odds are decent that not all three are going to get there. And I also have interest in Nah, Rizache at 5-1. Like he's okay. Kennard at 4-2. That's an okay punt. I'm less interested as I work my way down that list, but Okongwu looks great. And pretty much everybody I said is totally in play. The one that's a little bit interesting as far as like, am I going to get there is Nah, because it's like 6K Nah. And he's like, was he small forward eligible?
No, shooting guard.
Shooting, yeah, that kind of complicates things a little bit. But like you, because like
shooting guard, small forward, and now he's only shooting guard.
I know. Anyways, give your thoughts on the Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, no Trae Young obviously opens up a lot for Jalen Johnson. Opens up a start for Alexander Walker. I mean, Johnson I have as a core play. He's one of the best plays on the slate at any position. Obviously, 8,300. It's worth noting, I think the last time the Hawks had a back-to-back, he sat out. We don't have the report yet because it is a late game, so we'll see.
That would be big.
Yeah, like they kind of punted that game against the Lakers.
By the way, I don't disagree
blowout,
with
so
I don't disagree with him as a core play because he's not even 9K. Like he's really too cheap.
Yeah,
for the
like
role
he's
in
way
the
too
ceiling.
cheap. He's playing Utah.
Yeah,
like
that's
Utah without Walker Kessler. So
okay, so what do you do with Dyson Daniels though? Because I would imagine you agree that Onyeka is either core play or very close to it. So are you also forcing Daniels or are you ignoring him?
I'm not forcing it, but I do like on this slate, it's a 3-game slate. I would ordinarily be inclined to maybe set a rule to prevent the 3 expensive Hawks pieces, but without Porzingis, presumably, we don't know yet. But he's likely to sit out the back-to-back. Okongwu's going to start, so it's hard to get away from center very good on the slate. I really have no issue with getting those 3 just because it is a good game environment as a high total. Atlanta played last night, so maybe Utah can keep it close. And there's a lot of usage to go around. So I think Daniels is a very good play. I do have him third among those 3, but I still think in his own right, he's an excellent play, especially on FanDuel where, you get 3 for points or for steals and blocks.
Yeah, I think he's
the one
much
you
more
didn't
necessary
name is
there.
Yeah, on DK Moge is 4,100, and if Porzingis is out, he's going to get some minutes off the bench. He's cheap. He's power forward center. It's not a slate with a lot of value that we love. And, don't have the Johnson news, but if Johnson's out, Moge is going to become the chalk of the slate, and it's probably good chalk. But even if Johnson is in, I think you can get to him as well. I'm not really psyched about Alexander Walker for what it's worth.
No, neither am I. Pretty scoring dependent. His price has come up a
little bit. Kind
of
like the Hunter thing, like Alexander Walker, while a decent play with steady results, is not really a guy who's going to show a lot of ceiling. But on this slate, again, without all the options that we normally have, I'm still getting to him at a decent clip, even though I don't love it.
Well, I feel like they are the same play. So like I'm just more inclined to save that $700 and trust in Nikhil. And especially if Jalen's also out with Porzingis and Trey. Like he's going to shoot 20 times.
Johnson is out. Like you get all these guys if Johnson's out.
No, and I'm with you on Moge too. Like 4.1 with probably a starting role, 30 to 35 minutes. How do you fade that at 4-1? I don't know how you do. I think one way or another, you're getting a good amount of Hawks, right? I mean, the Hawks look great. So we'll just have to wait on the news. If Jalen's out, Porzingis, I would imagine, is definitely out, and we'll just have to adapt as we go. And of course, we'll finalize core plays to help you out and build that foundation for a winning lineup tonight. On the other side, Lauri Markkanen continues to just look totally fine. Like I think he looks great as a comeback because you're going to play Hawks anyways. and he's not super owned. He never projects that well, but the guy's averaging 28 real points per game on the year. If he just comes out and like gets some rebounds and nukes as a scorer, which he is fully capable of doing, he can absolutely break the slate. So he does look really good. And he's just going to be less owned than Jalen. He's going to be less owned than Evan Mobley. So he is certainly appealing coming back from that game. I do really like Keontae George, but the Craig Porter Jr. thing is what I was kind of alluding to before. My first build, I was like, oh yeah, I'm playing Keontae George because he just keeps playing well. He's $800 cheaper than Lowry, and he's like, comparable in terms of projection, and it's obviously a great spot. So I do like him a lot. I just think if you have Craig Porter Jr., it's going to be a little bit tough to force him in there. I guess just the way my build is going right now. Ace Bailey at 4.8 at small forward. That is the small forward I'm playing right now. Like that feels like an easy play. Nurkic price is ticking up a little bit, but it's going to be a pretty good spot. Like if you want to go Onyeka and Nurkic together, like I don't have a problem with that. That's just going to be sacrificing some value that we'll get to in a little bit, but maybe that's a good idea actually. Collier, Svi, they could be a decent leverage on Ace Bailey ownership if he ends up being really chalky, and it looks like he probably will be. I'm fine with that in tournaments, but Ace Bailey is probably just going to be chalk I end up eating. And then Filipowski is just a decent value off the bench. Like, I don't feel great about it, but the other value we're playing is kind of thin too when you really think about it. So if you want to play him at 4-6, if he's the guy you land on at the end, I think that's okay.
Yeah, Filipowski was a good play the other day because they had no backup centers. They had no Kevin Love. They had no Kyle Anderson. They had no Taylor Hendricks. Love is back tonight. So I feel like Filipowski is a shakier play. He's still playable just because it's a tiny slate, but not someone I'm like super interested in.
Yeah,
I think Bailey is a good play. He's cheap. He's good. He's kind of scoring dependent. So if the shots aren't falling, he's probably not getting you much. I think the way to play this is, if you're not playing Bailey and you're looking for a way to get some leverage, I think Bryce Sensabaugh is the way to do that. Because if Bailey fails and gets his minutes cut, I think Sensabaugh is probably the most likely one to see increased minutes off the bench, and he's cheap. So I'm okay with it. Probably a large field thing for the most part. Same thing with George and Collier. George had foul trouble in the last game, did not get there. Collier had increased minutes as a result and certainly did. So probably max one those two. And then I think Nurkic is an awesome play. Like Okongwu is a horrible defender. Nurkic's price is coming up, but good per minute guy, good role in close games. He's typically seeing like 30 plus minutes. So Nurkic once again is probably my favorite play here.
Yeah, I think it's just tough because I do like a value that we're going to talk about in the next game here. So it just comes down to how much am I going to get to that guy? And if I'm not getting to him, then I do like the Onyeka Nurkic pairing a lot. And also I'm just like not that into Jarrett who's carrying ownership. I'd much rather get to Nurk and Onyeka. But yeah, Keontae is probably the one here that is the most compelling though, because he's been super steady for most of the year and he's like not very owned for the floor and upside that he brings to the table. So a guy I would definitely want to get over on the field a little bit. Siakam for the Pacers and Suns here. Siakam's got monster usage with obviously all the deaths in Indy, but he's really expensive. So for that reason alone, like I'm going to shy away from him if he's going to be 25% owned by the field. Obviously there's ceiling there. It's a decent floor. It just costs a lot of money. I think Spida and Devin look like better plays up in that range. Nembhard and Nesmith, just okay plays. The price has come up. You got TJ McConnell back. They still do have bodies. I think if I was going to play one, it would be Nembhard just because I think he offers a little bit more of a ceiling and is just a little bit more reliable. But I don't love the prices on them. And right now I'm not really getting to them that much, but it doesn't look like anybody is. So they are GPP plays for sure. Isaiah Jackson is an interesting tournament play. Like when he gets extended, he is a good permanent guy, so he can definitely nuke. Given this price point and all the other centers that we're liking, like he's not going to be owned. And then, of course, TJ McConnell, 4.7K, did not play very much in his first game back, but he's still kind of crushed for the role he had. So, like, if he's going to get like 15 minutes or something, I think he's totally viable. He just does a ton when he's out there.
Yeah, I wish he was like 4K instead of almost 5K. That's kind of hard to stomach. I do think he's playable just because of the slate, but pretty narrow path given the role. I think Siakam is going to be the stud who goes overlooked on this slate, I think people are just more excited to play Booker or Mitchell or, Jalen Johnson. So if Siakam is the one who's lower owned, he's quite expensive. Power forward is a pretty rich position. I think Siakam's a really, really strong tournament play on this slate. Phoenix played last night. Indiana has the rest advantage. That's really the only advantage they have, but it's something. They play hard. So I think Siakam is a really good play.
If the ownership comes way down,
I think he'll be
agree.
20% at the most. I feel like you're not really landing on him naturally in builds the way Jalen Johnson pops and Markkanen and Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power forward. So
right.
Love Siakam. Really like the spot for him. I think Nemhard's a good play. He's getting pricey with McConnell back, but McConnell, like we said, still limited, so you can still play him. Neesmith, a DeAndre Hunter-esque filler play. Robinson, Earl, and Bradley started the last game. They've been very inconsistent with their rotation and their starting roles for their bigs, but if they start, I think they're playable, but I do not feel a lot of confidence in that.
No, at least JRE is power forward eligible, so that actually could come in handy. I like the Siakam call if the ownership comes down, because then you could be looking at a situation where you have, I don't know what Devin's ownership is really going to be, but Devin and Siakam to close here. This is a 2-game hammer slate where both the second game or the second and third games, technically, they both start at the same time. So it's not like you're getting Siakam on an island here to close out the slate. That said, we'll see where the ownership falls. Right now, he's not a priority, but I would imagine it will dip considerably based off of what you said, like all the bodies at power forward that we like. All right, on the other side of the Suns, Devin looks great. He has ruined my life the last 2 slates I tried him on. 2 slates ago, or 2 games ago for him, he had 24 fantasy points, completely ruined me. And then yesterday, I was 7 fantasy points away from a takedown, and he got me 44. So wasn't terrible, but needed more, wanted more. So, of course, he's going to nuke tonight, right? Now that I might get off of him. But I like him again. We'll see where ownership is. Obviously, on 3-game slate, if guys are going to be kind of comparable plays in terms of projection and salary, and one guy's going to be mega owned, then we can kind of flip it a little bit, like you're kind of suggesting with Siakam. That said, he looks great. Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Dylan Brooks, kind of all the same play to me right now. So Royce O'Neal, to me, stands out the most. He's about $1,000 cheaper than both those guys, and we can use him at small forward and power forward, so he looks pretty useful. And then Nick Richards at 3.2K with Mark Williams probably out here on the second leg of a back-to-back set. He's not going to be super extended probably, but if we can get 20, 25 minutes out of him, he is a decent permanent guy at 3.2K. That's going to be hard to go away from, and that's exactly why I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the Onyeka Nurkic thing on a regular basis with any confidence.
Yeah, I think he's okay. He's super cheap and he's a good permanent guy. So it's interesting. I just don't really trust that the minutes will be there. They haven't been there all season. I think Iguodaro is probably going to start, and then Richards will play the backup minutes. They could split them down the middle. Richards could still play more off the bench. They could go to Malawak, who they have, a third-string rookie from Duke. So they do still have bodies to fill the center minutes. If Richards is going to be 3 times as owned as Iguodaro, which is what it looks like right now, based on the early projections, I think Iguodaro is just the better play in the starting role. Just because there's not a huge gap between them, but the ownership would lead you to believe that there is. So they're okay. I don't love that they're both center only. I think Booker is a great play. I think Grayson Allen's an awesome play. Guard forward eligible, 6,800's expensive, but the role's there for him, even with Dylan Brooks back. I'm not expecting him to continue to put up 40s and 60s and stuff, but in the range of DeAndre Hunter and Neesmith and guys like that, I think he's probably a better option because you can play him at shooting guard. I agree about O'Neal being a solid play. I think Colin Gillespie is slightly better than McConnell just because the minutes are going to be better for Colin Gillespie. Jordan Goodwin, probably not going to be chalk anymore with the Craig Porter thing, but if his ownership is low at 3.5, given the role he has off the bench, I think he's okay.
Yeah, if he's not going to be owned, then 3.5K Goodwin is viable. I don't know. I think Grayson Allen, it's tough. I feel like, speaking of scoring-dependent guys, he actually has been doing a lot more than scoring lately, which is, I don't know if that's super sustainable. He's kind of cutting into Devin's upside a little bit. Like he's performing a lot better than anybody thought he would with Jalen Green out. So that's like making Devin not shoot 25, 30 times a game and go full Cade Cunningham, which isn't what you want to see, to be honest. All right, that is going to do it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord. All right, thanks for watching, and good luck.